Phil and Will are back. We have our episode 2 predictions episode tonight. After a pretty solid episode 1, it seems like everybody has pretty much liked it. Almost like universal acclaim for episode 1 of Survivor Kaoh Rong, which I'm kind of surprised at. Here we are with episode 2 coming up. We're going to do our power rankings. We're going to get into some other things. We don't have all the boot lists updated yet, but I mean, come on, it was just Darnell. You know where you stand. I do know first place is Joe Pruss right now. He only has 1 point. Nobody had Darnell going first. So there you go. That's what we have for now.
There was one entry that had it was. I think he submitted it after the episode.
He submitted it after the episode. Yeah, I'm just.
So that's not going to count. You can't do that. That's not allowed. Because then that's not hard to do. Yeah, if you haven't watched our recap yet of the premiere, we had a pretty fun podcast. It was like you said, everyone seemed to like it. I'm thinking though, Survivor premieres are pretty much always good. I mean, they don't end with big climatic boosts usually. But you're meeting the new characters, getting the new setting, and I don't know, when people arrive at the beach and they get that immediate shock of just being on your own, it's fun to watch. So I mean, can you think of like a bad premiere?
I just think that this was one of the more top-notch ones. I think that I think a lot of people like this just because the cast was so in-depth here. Like, it was a really in-depth cast. And I think that's really what everybody liked about it. Like, everybody came to play, and, like, it kind of surprised everyone a little bit, I think. It's an hour and a half, so that helps it.
What it is. Everyone really got something. The editing was very even. No one really stood out as – I mean, who had the most confessionals, and what number was that?
Anna and Ty both had 6. I think Kyle had 5. I think Scott had 5 as well.
Okay. Still pretty even. So we have our other videos in the description. If you can comment live, we think you can comment live on the video. We're going to get to comments later. It's one of our, favorite parts of the Sunday podcast. Let's get into power rankings.
All right, cool. I'll go first since, I always win power rankings and you always lose. So I'll give you an advantage that you can copy off of me a little bit here. All right. That if you like that.
Let me go first. Let me go
Oh,
first.
He wants to go first. Okay, you want to pull this out.
Well, we can go back and forth, because sometimes you group them together. I don't know. It's very loosey-goosey here. I got Michelle number 1, and I thought you might put her number 1, so I wanted to get out in front of that. She is your winner pick. She's your Jersey girl. She is, I think, in the best spot in the game. First of all, because the Beauty Tribe, I don't see them going to Tribal Council. They're the strongest tribe all the way around. Sure, you got the 18-year-old Julie. Is it Julie or Julia? Julia. Okay, so you got her who might be weak, but she seems like she can pull her weight. And then you got, for being the Beauty Tribe, you have like pretty brawn men. So I think they're in a good spot. And Michelle, she's in that Girls Alliance. If someone gets a whiff of that, if they're really going to target the head of that snake, it's going to be Anna. And if they're going to vote out someone for being weak, I think it's going to be Julia. So she's kind of right in the middle there. I got her at number 1.
See, everybody's jumping on this Anna's going to win train right now. And I think, like because she had such a good episode, and I think Anna is in a great position in this game. What I fear for her is that she might have just been the most interesting one in that alliance for episode 1 because it seemed like she was kind of doing a lot. I mean, I think, didn't Jen have the most, or Carolyn had the most confessionals in Worlds Apart, and she got all the way to the end and lost, like in a landslide.
Yeah, so but she found an idol, though, and her tribe also went to the first tribal. So you have Anna, who really, there was no big thing they had to show. And then she didn't end up going to tribal. And that's really where these confessionals come in. You said, Scott and Kyle, they both had a lot. It was all because, they had to talk about Alicia, talk about Darnell, things like that. And I didn't really know everyone was hopping on the Anna train.
Yeah, maybe. Right now, the popular picks right now are Anna and Kyle. Those are like everybody's winner picks right now after the first episode.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Or maybe everybody listened to my winner pick, or they read when I tweeted it out that I picked Anna. That could be the reason too.
I just can't wait till it cocomes out that you really did look this up beforehand. Like you somehow got information that like Anna was going to win this game. It's going to come out. We're getting into the mudslinging here. You can't pick 2 winners in a row without cheating. That's the way I look at life.
I mean, there's a reason that we podcast, you and I, says we think we can, read the game and stuff, read the players. And, you picked Kelly Wentworth last season. She got 5th place or 4th place.
4th place. And I'm kind of fearing that Michelle might end up falling into the Kelly Wentworth thing where she's very likable. She's strategic and everything. And then she just ends up getting 4th place and just missing out on getting to the final. But anyway, Michelle is my number one overall. You were right. Obviously, I was putting her there. She's my winner pick. I think she had a good enough episode in that first episode that I want to put her at number one. I'd love to have Michelle be my number one the entire way throughout this entire season and then have her win. I feel like that would just be such a statement, like into like my brilliance. So I have Michelle at one. I think she's in a fantastic spot. I think the three girls on the beauty tribe are great. I think that what's going to be really funny is whatever ends up happening with Ty and Caleb this week seems like it's going to be funny. It looks like a budding bromance. At least that's the way CBS is playing it up. So that could be fun.
Right. At the end of the premiere, it seemed like it was just Ty going in for the kiss one little second, and it was kind of oh my God, big deal. But then these weekend previews have been that they're actually getting along for so long, and it's kind of building up to a climactic kiss, and it wasn't out of nowhere. They're actually building a real friendship. So that will be really interesting to follow. I still like the girls' position a lot better than the guys' position on that beauty tribe.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I don't know how you're going to end up doing this, but I know at number 2 I have Kyle because I think he had a fantastic episode. And then at 3 and 4 I have Anna and Julia. And I feel like you kind of have to lump them just because this is that whole girl beauty alliance. And I think that they might be able to get Ty. They might be able to get Caleb. They might be able to get Nick. I don't think Ty, Caleb, or Nick is able to pull over Anna, Julia, or Michelle. I really do feel like this is going to be a tight bond until some sort of swap. And even then, I still think that they might try to work together. So I got Anna at 3 because I think that she had the best first episode, other than Kyle, who I have at 2. And then I have Julia at 4. Kyle, I have at 2. I think Kyle, man, he was great in this first episode. And if you listen to Darnell's exit interviews, all he did was talk about how good Kyle was at the game those first 3 days. Like, he was saying Scott was being kind of a jerk a little bit, but Kyle was playing it like fantastically.
Yeah, I like Kyle a lot, but Darnell, though, he is basing it off 3 days at the game. It's not like he became a jury member and has gotten to witness them play. I'm sure he's heard rumors and heard what's gone on over the course of the season, but I think most of those exit interviews, he's just looking at those 3 days. And, man, because Kyle, I think, is the one, he spearheaded it. He was the one that wanted Darnell out because he couldn't control him. I guess that's what came out, or he was too likable. There's a lot of reasons kind of floating around, but we know now that it was a very strategic decision, and it wasn't really because of the goggles, although that's kind of how Scott was voting. At number 2, I have Anna, just because, like you said, I mean, worst case scenario is the 3 girls stick together, then it's 3 against 3. There's a tie. With Ty, maybe. And then rocks something. Maybe there's Anna, I think, is in a really great spot. I got Julie at 3. Have her lowest out of the women because she's the most, probably the most liable to be, a crappy challenge player. At 4, I actually have Jenny.
Wow.
I think, she had the bug in her ear, but it seemed like Jenny was right in with Scott and Kyle. She's a part of that 3-person alliance, and there's only 5 people on that tribe right now. So I think she's good. And if the women on that tribe want to get together, that puts Kyle and Scott in a bit of danger. So I could maybe see that happening. So I think either way, Jenny is going to be in a great spot.
Yeah, I don't have Jenny much further down. I was just surprised you put her above Kyle or Scott. I think Jenny's in a great spot. The only reason I have a little bit lower is what if, clearly she had to go through some serious issues with that bug in her ear. And we do have a bunch of comments about the bug in her ear and how medical supposedly looked or should have looked or whatever it was. But she mentally toughed that out. That was unreal. That's impressive. But if something else happens to her again now, I almost feel like she's going to lose it. So I have her a little bit lower down, not much further down. I still think Kyle and Scott are in control over there. I don't think that Alicia, Sydney, and Jenny team up against those 2. I just don't think it happens.
Yeah, I don't think that happens either, but I think that's more likely to happen than somehow Alicia or Sydney becoming number 3 to Scott and Kyle. I think Jenny is that sure thing at 3. She seems really in with those guys. So I think she's totally safe. She's also my eliminator pick this week. And I know we have a lot of new subscribers, new listeners. It's a new season, so we have a lot of fantasy games going on. This is the Power Rankings. But eliminator is Phil and I each week will pick someone that we think is going to survive the episode. And if you pick the person and they go home, then you're done. The other person wins. But you can't pick the same person twice in the season. So once I use Jenny, I can't use her anymore. So you have to play it strategically. You can't get down to the end of the season, have no one left to pick. That's what happened to me last season. Phil ended up winning, but it's a fun little game. Jenny's my pick this week.
And who did you pick week 1? Just because I know we didn't actually do it on podcast. We did it. We just announced it on Twitter. I know I picked Scott Pollard. Who did you pick?
I picked Caleb.
Okay. And then you have Jennifer this week. I completely forgot about this game, to be honest with you. I was doing my power rankings. I'm like, I know there's something else we got to do. I completely forgot about it. So I'll figure it out as I go along.
Sure.
I won't take Jennifer because I don't want to hurt your feelings. But
oh, you can't do that.
We just got a tweet from Braves fan 299 that Stephen Fishbach used to date Liz, and he's the one who got her into casting.
I knew that.
How does it make you feel, real quick? I think this was brought up earlier too. Somebody else had tweeted, but I just got it on my computer screen, so that's why I'm saying it. Well, how does it make you feel that Stephen Fishbach dated Liz?
I don't know if they ever dated. Like, they weren't dating. I think they went on dates. I think that's what.
How would you feel if you got to go on a date with Liz, Will?
Pretty good. I'd probably dress up real nice, take her out to a real nice place, be a gentleman, and woo her.
And woo her. I like that. Yeah. And never show her anything you say in these podcasts, right? With just like
what do you mean?
This way she doesn't know you're obsessive. This way she thinks you're just a regular guy.
Oh, come on. At number 5, I have Kyle.
Is she a thumbnail?
Yeah, she will be.
Every episode, he says he's putting Liz as the thumbnail, guys. So stay tuned. We might get some cool pictures.
Well, there are only so many pictures you can choose from that are, landscape. So if it happens, it happens.
All right, who you got at 5?
Kyle. I got Kyle at 5. Like you said, he had a great first episode. He's looking real nice. Seems to have complete power on that tribe. He was, working everything. I don't even think Brawn loses, really. I think they're a stronger tribe now that Darnell's gone. And Alicia, she could be a weak link. But like you said, if Darnell doesn't drop those goggles, they probably run away with it. So I like Kyle. I got Scott right at 6, so I got them back-to-back.
Okay, cool. I wanted to mix it up a little bit and at least throw is my microphone muted right now? That's what my computer just said. Am I muted?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay,
I can hear
you. Anyway, okay, so I had Scott at 6. I wanted to mix it up and at least throw one brain in here. I'm throwing Neil at number 5. I think he had a really good first episode. He was almost played up the way Spencer was played up to Joe last year, where Spencer had to explain in Joe language what the numbers were. And I feel like that's kind of what Neil was doing to Peter here. Neil seems like he has a good grasp on everything, and I feel like he's going to be the swing in this tribe. Whichever side he wants to go with, I think that's the side that's going to end up going further in this game. And honestly, at this point, I would not be surprised if he went with the older side, just because it seemed like Aubrey was kind of buddying up to Debbie after her whole incident, and maybe Neil goes that route instead of Peter or Liz. Sorry, but I really do think that Neil is in a fantastic position. I really liked him in episode 1, and then Scott at 6. Kyle and Scott, I just think, are running that tribe. I think that you would be dumb if you lose this week. All of a sudden, you're the Brawn tribe. You're down 2 people. How in the world do you get rid of one of those 2 guys and expect to ever win a challenge? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're already going to be down 2 people, you can't get rid of Scott or Kyle, who, when they were pushing that thing up the boat up, they passed Beauty like they were standing still, and they almost caught Brains, and they had such an advantage. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, but couldn't you have said the very same argument when it was the Brains tribe in Cagayan, and they were down a player? I know, but they went through with it. They voted off Garrett, even though they were down to only 5 players. And that's what I
don't think it'll happen this time, though, because once again, Garrett, you got to remember that alliance that was against him. That was a girls' alliance that was against him. Here, you don't have the girls' alliance. This girls' alliance doesn't exist here.
I'm just saying it made no sense to get Garrett out, but they did it anyway. And, it makes no sense. It happens a lot on Survivor. We say there's no way this player goes. We put them high in our power rankings, and we get screwed because it's Survivor, and that's what makes it fun. It's unpredictable. I hear you though. I have Kyle at 5, and I have Scott at 6, so I'm right there with you.
I'm gonna go Caleb at 7, and I'm gonna use him as my eliminator. Just because that tribe is sketchy to me, and I feel like I should use the guys quicker than the girls, because I think the girls are going to stick together. I think the guys' days, if they lose, they're going to be a little numbered. So I'm putting Caleb at 7, and I'm also putting Caleb in the eliminator. I liked Caleb episode 1, and I think what's kind of telling is this whole Ty Caleb thing. They're really pimping this up, and I know they did it with Joaquin and Rodney too, and then Joaquin ends up going home. But I think in this situation, it's not going to turn out that way. I feel like this is almost showing that now Nick might be a little bit of the outsider on this if there's a bromance going on. But at the same time, I think that if Beauty goes, it's going to be Nick or Ty. I don't see them getting rid of Caleb first just because Ty was a little sneaky. Maybe Nick doesn't fit in with the other 5 as well. I think Caleb's all right, so I got him at 7. And I don't think Beauty's going to lose this week. Maybe that's really where my head's at.
Yeah, I don't think Beauty's losing either, but I think Nick, if anyone, Nick's in the best position because he's getting along with the women, I think. Obviously, they have that 3. He's not anywhere near like the power of that alliance, but Anna said very clearly last episode that they have 3, they need a 4th. Tai Ching was the obvious choice, but if he's, sneaking around looking for idols and kissing dudes, then maybe you go with Nick. And it seemed when Anna walked up to Ty, Nick was right there. It was them 2 together. So maybe they've, bonded over that. I actually have Nick at 7. I don't see why he draws the target. I think if the girls are going to pull a move on someone, they're going to get rid of Ty because he's being sneaky, or get rid of Caleb because he's a big brother player. For some reason, I feel Nick has a pretty good relationship with the women.
Okay, more power to you. I don't have Nick that much further down, to be honest with you. I really think Beauty's going to be okay this week. If I'm guessing which tribe's going, I'm guessing Brains. That's my prediction here. We got a lot into the strategy at Brains. And yeah, we got a lot into the strategy at all the tribes, but it seemed like Brains, there was like the biggest like mess. And we were getting like a lot of intel into, okay, well, it's going to be us versus them. And then all of a sudden Aubrey goes over to Debbie and it's like, oh, I needed Debbie so bad. And it's like, okay, where do these people sit? Whereas at Beauty, it seems like they're going to be like the fun tribe. They're getting played up for this preview that they're going to be like a budding bromance on this episode. And then I feel like that's going to be like really all we see of Beauty this week is like, hey, look, they're getting along, they're having fun, but they're not going to lose. I think Brains is going to be the tribe that goes this week.
Yeah, I'm almost like 100% sure it's going to be Brains. It just we know when we have that 4 versus 2, the old versus young, and then you have Aubrey going over. The preview showed Joe getting upset with Liz. I just think there's a lot to work through. There's a lot there. So that's why I'm surprised you have Neil that high. Not that I think Neil's in that much danger on the tribe, but it's very likely he ends up going to tribal council.
Yeah, well, Neil is the only one that I have that high. I mean, I don't have anybody else near where, you know what I mean? Like my number 8, I have Jennifer. I think you were right with Jennifer. She's in that 3-person alliance. I also think that she could go with the girls. I don't see a girls alliance forming. And I think Jennifer likes the guys. She said it in her preview. She said that she loves the guys. Like that's like she's always been like a tomboy and stuff. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think she's going to keep working with the guys because why not? I mean, they're her shield now. They're going to be more threatening than her this entire game, whereas somebody like Alicia is not. So I think she sticks with the guys, but I have her 8 either way. Don't really think she's in any danger.
Yeah, I mean, I have her as my eliminator. I think she's going to be good to go this week. At number 8, I have Caleb. I mean, it's very similar to my reasoning for Nick. I just had Nick 1 spot higher. I don't think that tribe's going. It seems like Tai Trang, if they go, he's the obvious pick, even though it's probably a red herring. I don't really know where Caleb exactly lies with the women, but it seems like he's having fun with Ty. I would be surprised if they go to tribal council. At number 9, I have Liz, which this might actually be too high for her because of the negative things Joe was saying in the preview. But I did rewatch the episode, the premiere, or else up until the challenge, I watched it. And Liz did have, she was insightful, but she seemed almost kind of like a villain. They were building her up as a villain, which I didn't pick up on the first time. But she was talking about Aubrey, saying this isn't even a physical thing, like it's all mental. She's freaking out about freaking out. And it was kind of, I don't know, she was throwing some shade over there. I think she might end up being a villain, but either way, I think she's going to end up being a big character. So I not necessarily love her position because it's especially on that Brain tribe. But for this week, I think she's lasting more than 2 episodes.
Wow, man. I think this might be you being blinded by Liz. I think that's really what this is coming down to. I have Liz way, 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 way lower. It's funny that you didn't see her. I didn't see her as really a villain the first time watching it either, but it is funny. Like the first time you were like, you probably thought she was like the hero. She was going to come riding in and save the day. You know, she is, if they do heroes versus villains ever again, Liz is the #1 female pick by the producers as the hero. So it's kind of funny that you're sitting here now like, oh, yeah, by the way, she was kind of a villain in that first episode. But I have her way lower. At my number 9, I have Peter. I think that he's going to be like the Mick Trimming of this season. I really do. I think that he's going to kind of be – he's going to think he always has his hand in everything, and he's really never going to. I feel like he's always going to be there, and he's always going to be somebody's pawn. He's never going to be in control. But either way, I have him at number 9. I think that he's in a good position on that tribe. He's stronger. He's bigger. I think there's 4 targets over him. I think Aubrey, Debbie, Liz, and Joe are easier targets than Peter. I think Neil might kind of want to use Peter because I think Neil realizes he's smarter than Peter is, at least socially.
See, I fear with Peter that he's going to start rubbing people the wrong way. He's bigger, he's strong, yeah, but the Brains tribe, they might say, hey, you know, you should be on Brawn, or I just don't know if he's fitting in well. It's only been 1 episode, sure, but I don't know. He might play too hard as well, especially that first tribal. He's going to want to prove that he's the smartest. He's the ER doctor and try to stir things up, and I could see it going that way. I have him at 11, so it's not much farther out. At 10, I have Aubrey, and this might seem high, but it was 4 versus 2, and if anyone was going to flip, it was going to be Aubrey going with the old folks. So she could swing either way, and I think she might find herself in the middle. I would have put her higher, actually. I was thinking about it, but someone tweeted, I forget who, maybe it was Neil, that Brain Tribe, they dropped their goggles too, but Aubrey swam down and got them. And so if she was going to be this big hero, maybe they would have shown that. But she did have a nice return.
Yeah. I think that was something that we kind of undervalued in the recap episode. We ripped on her a lot for the panic attack and, you know, she's falling apart mentally and all that. Her recovery was fantastic in that swimming challenge. Like, she carried her tribe in that swimming part. She got every single oar. And, like, that's even better if she had to go down and get the goggles again. I mean, I don't think they had to show it because she did great anyway. You know what I mean? Like, that would have put it over the edge, but she was great anyway.
Right. I didn't notice that she was – I didn't know if she was the one getting out the paddles. I mean, I saw her working on the puzzle. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying she didn't, but I don't think the editing really highlighted. Like, Jeff going, Liz, paddle, or Liz, Aubrey,
Jesus,
paddle.
Man, you can't help it.
I mean, we're talking about the Brain Tribe here. I didn't get that big kind of that she was the savior, but it turns out she was. So yeah, Aubrey at 10, Peter at 11. I've already kind of talked about Peter. I like where he is because he is in that younger side of the Brains Tribe. I think they're likely to come out on top, but you know, I could see him getting snake bit. You know, someone pulls something. At 12, I have Neil.
Jesus, do I ever get to go again is the real question.
Well, didn't you already do 11?
I haven't even done 10.
Oh, okay. Well, go.
You got 10, 11, and 12. I haven't even done 10. No, go ahead. Tell me all about Neil now. And maybe we might as well just finish, and then I'll get a half hour of my podcast time in.
They're just right in a row on the Brain Tribe. They're kind of clumped together. It goes Aubrey, Peter, Neil. So I think Neil it might suffer a similar fate as Peter. That he just might be a snake. Now I don't even want to talk about Neil. You know, you love Neil. I worry that he might rub people the wrong way. He should be. He could probably float over to the old people if he wanted to, because he seems a bit old.
That's why I like where his position is in the game. I think that he's kind of put himself in a swing position. And yes, you can comment on this video. I'm noticing this right now. So sorry, I'm just looking at the comments. We do have some cool comments about whatever you were just talking about. I completely forget. I'm completely blacking out. But there was something that you had just mentioned, and I was thinking, oh man, those comments are good, and that's why I checked the comments and stopped listening to you, and now I messed up.
Okay, I was talking about Neil, but you can go now. Who you at 10?
Oh, it was about narrators. There was a good comment about narrators on each tribe, and we'll get to that obviously when we get there. Anyway, so now we have to go all the way back to 10 for me because Willie was just going on a rampage there, just getting as many as he could. I know I can't help it, man. Number 10, I have Nick. A little bit lower than you, not much lower. I really just don't think this tribe's in trouble, and I think if they do lose, it's going to be Ty, just because Ty – I feel like Ty, he did too much too early. The only way I don't see it hurting him is if he actually gets an idol, which, by the way, Will, and I'm telling you this now because you can't go back on any of your power rankings, but there was a – like in the CBS like description of the next episode, it said one castaway goes to new heights to retrieve an idol. And Ty was up in like a tree in the first episode. So maybe he climbs a tree to find an idol here, which would be good for your power rankings or your fantasy game. But I'm noticing I'm kind of lower. So I think that's really the only thing that saves Ty now, though. It seems like he's still likable and stuff, but I think the Beauty Tribe realizes that if you're sneaky, you're screwed. So I have Nick at 10. Still don't think he fits in that well, but I think he'll be okay. 11, I have Sydney. I think Alicia's the next boot if Braun goes. So I'm putting Sydney a little bit higher so that I can kind of stack up these Brains and Ty and Alicia here at the back end. Because I really fear for them a lot more than I fear for Sydney. Although it is interesting. If they voted off Darnell on that Braun tribe because he was likable, Sydney could easily be the next boot for the exact same reason.
Yeah, I have Sydney just a little bit lower. If they, I don't know, it's almost like once Alicia, she's been saved once, it's like now she's loyal to them forever. And Sydney was kind of getting close with Darnell. We heard talk of that. So, and it seems like Kyle's that type of player to say, man, I need people loyal. I don't want anything fishy going on. He wants to surprise people every single tribal, anything he can. Plus, Sydney with the medevac stuff. I'm still you put a thought in my head and I can't get it out. So I have Sydney at 13, and I'm not going to say anything more about her. But that was my next pick in the power rank.
Okay, at 12, this might seem a little high, but even if he goes, I can suffer the points to you because I'll make it up later easily. But I have Joe at 12, and the reason I have Joe at 12 is because I don't think we got enough of him in this premiere to justify him going next. Yeah, he's on the older side, and yeah, all this and that. But I just feel like the other Brains were edited more heavily than him. And at least in recent seasons, normally they aren't getting rid of like completely invisible people in the second episode. I'm pretty sure like since Caramoan, they really haven't done that. It always seems like it's somebody who's at least getting some sort of story arc. And I don't feel like we've gotten anything from Joe. I mean, here's a 72-year-old guy who's out there with all these young people. They have to give him at least a little something. You know what I mean? And I feel like if he goes here, it's gonna be just be too short-lived. Or they would have given him a little bit more in the first episode to play him up like a little bit more of a hero, and then he just gets backstabbed or blindsided or something like that. So I have him sitting there at 12. Not too confident in it, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. We didn't get so much, but I mean, he told us about, he was a hostage negotiator. He's outdoors guy. He felt prepared kind of. There's 18 people to get through. It wouldn't shock me if he went, especially if he gets a lot, this episode. I do have him a bit lower. At 14, I have Tai Trang. I don't think Beauty's going, but if they do, he's definitely target number 1 at this point. That can obviously change over the course of the episode, but sticking with Tai Trang being at the bottom of that track.
Yeah, I have Ty at 13. I know you keep going one ahead of me without letting me ever catch up. But I have Ty at 13. I'm in the same boat. I think that he's still the target, but man, I'm telling you, I think he's going to find an idol or something. I really do. I think that they played him up so much in episode 1 as like this likable, really like cool guy, almost like a hypocrite, but in a funny way where he's pulling all the trees and then saying I'm sorry and putting them back in. Like I really I like what Ty did in episode 1. I think something good's going to happen for him, but I still am at 13 because I don't trust it that much. At 14, I have Aubrey, mainly just because I'm scared the girl's going to pass out or have a panic attack and just be pulled from the game.
That could happen.
I don't think she's on the wrong side of the numbers here. I think you brought up a great point. She could easily swing to the older people, and maybe she can convince some other people to do it with her. But I just fear that she's going to have another breakdown and just get booted right next.
That could very well happen. I mean, I'm looking at him. I think Brains is going, and I don't really have that many of them. I mean, I still have Joe and Debbie left, but I wouldn't be surprised if they survived and someone else goes. So I'm not liking my power rankings right now. Just like I don't like my fantasy.
I was surprised when you kept naming all of your Brains people after you said I can't believe you have Neil all the way at 5. I think Brains is going to lose, and then you went Liz, Aubrey, Peter, Neil right in a row from 9 to 12, and you still had 5 positions left. I was really surprised you did that.
Yeah, that was pretty dumb, huh?
Yeah, hey, that's what you get when you come watch Will on Phil and Will. But all right, man, who do you have at 15 then? Because I'm really curious who your last why your last 3 are where they are.
I mean, I have Joe at 15. It's not. I mean, it's Joe. He could break down any minute. Fragile guy. I know. You had the whole edit thing, which could be true, but I could see Joe easily going. I mean, do you want me to rattle these off, or do you want to catch up like you've been talking about?
Well, I have Liz at 15, and this might seem like really towards the bottom for her. At least, like I was not low on her at all after the premiere. I wasn't as high on her as you were, but like I think Liz could be a really, really good player in this season. My biggest fear for her is that they catch her playing too hard, too fast, and she is trying to kind of weasel her way around. And I mean, she did come across as villainous. She said the thing about Joe, he's the most likely to be medevaced, which makes me think Joe's still going to get medevac this season, so that's why I have him a little bit higher too. But I think Liz, man, she could be like she could almost come across as a little evil this next episode too, and then she gets booted, and everybody's kind of like, okay, good. I'm glad she's gone.
Yeah, man, I don't feel good. I mean, this is a season where, I mean, watch Scott go home this week somehow. I mean,
right?
Who knows? Right? I don't know. I tell myself, hey, look, Joe's at 15. He's not in the numbers, and he's on the weakest tribe, or the tribe we think is going to tribal. That seems right, but then I don't know. It's so tough. At 16, I'm going to put Alicia, just because I don't think that tribe's losing. But if they do lose, she is gonna go. Like she really. I mean, Sydney could go, but I really think it's gonna be Alicia. Not much. I don't really need to talk about her anymore. And then 17, I have Debbie, because we got a lot of Debbie in the first episode, and I think it would warrant a second boot. You know, they really set her up. She was getting on everyone's nerves. She did help Aubrey, but I don't know. Can you really edit that out? If Aubrey's having this panic attack?
Especially when you have an hour and a half to do it. I mean, that's going to be big characterization. I mean, I'll say this. I have Alicia at 17, although I don't think Braun's going to lose again for the rest of this like pre-swap thing. I don't think Braun loses again. The reason I have Alicia at 17 is just because if they do lose, she is the only sure thing from the three tribes that would be the one going home. At least I think. I have Debbie at 16. And I almost feel like Debbie's actually not in that bad of a position. She's not liked. She's coming across annoying. You're right. She got a huge edit. But Survivor always does that thing where they say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give everybody this 30-second preview at the end of an episode and say, hey, Debbie's getting on everyone's nerves again. And then she doesn't go home. And I almost feel like that's what's going to end up happening here, because they did that last week. They're like, look, Debbie's definitely screwed. And I could see where she's just not.
Was that the preview? I mean, the only thing I really remember is the Ty Caleb thing. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember much Debbie, but that's a good point. If they set someone up to go home in the preview, it's likely, they're not going to go. That's how they do it.
Yeah. Somebody, my friend just texted me, we're Reddit famous.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know. And then she sent me a picture of us. I don't know what it means though, because I'm gonna try to keep reading. But cool, that's cool. Anyway, so that wraps up our power rankings. I don't know, man. This is going to be like a little bit of a crapshoot. I feel like at the beginning here. I don't feel like we're going to get really.
It always is. I mean, have we ever done power rankings through a season and had a few stretches of episodes where like, oh, this is easy. This is what we're doing. I thought it would be easy, but we keep doing this, and it's always like, I don't know.
The easiest one was Worlds Apart, because it was the least boring pagonging of all time.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, you want to just get into some comments then, and we can kind of talk freely about everything that's about to happen?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get into comments.
We got a lot. So I'll start with the YouTube that was actually on the last video. By the way, Kyle ended up being MVP. He beat Anna 6-3 in the vote. There were votes for a lot of people, though. There was a vote for Jen. There was a vote for Scott. And there was actually a vote for Aubrey, too, I guess because of her comeback. So we did get some votes for a little bit of everybody. Let's go down here. We got – I'm not really going to read the MVP ones that are just being said like, oh, they were the MVP or whatever. But if they give like a little bit of information, I'll do it. Anyway, John Smith, Darnell said in his day after video that he would come back in a heartbeat, but in what's looking like a huge character-driven season, I don't see him coming back. I'm really surprised that Alicia survived. She was my first boot pick. I feel like she'll be gone soon. I like the episode. I'm looking forward to next week. Debbie equals coach is being more true every second she's on the screen. I think that's true, too. I think
it is.
Yeah.
She is the female version of coach. Dead on.
Yeah. that's spot on. John Smith, the flipper was Jason/Kyle. He voted for Alicia and then Darnell, which was kind of surprising that he voted for Alicia first because he seemed really gung-ho on voting out Darnell first.
I think he came out and said it was a vote split, though. I think that the whole vote was kind of why there was a tie. I think that's been settled by social media interviews and stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. Justin Brizantine. Nobody flipped. It was Plan 3-3 to flush the idol that they were talking about in the scene directly before. Jason confirmed this on Twitter. He even winks when the tie vote comes up and showed no surprise on the face except for Darnell and Alicia. Okay, and then let's see here. Anthony Beam is someone who has panic attacks and takes medication to that effect. I really relate to Aubrey. I hope she does well. Also, Will, there's nothing wrong with finding women attractive, especially when Liz, Anna, Aubrey, Michelle, and Julie are on this season.
There you go.
Hey,
I mean, there's
I'm not
nothing
saying
wrong.
there's anything wrong with it. I just think it's really funny. Like, Will gets his crush every season, and it's fantastic.
Who was my crush last season?
Well, that doesn't count. That was a returnee season. Come on.
I don't know. I mean,
But Wentworth, you always crush. Actually, Jeremy might have been your crush last season. The way you talked him up, that was a little weird. But I think it's Wentworth. You always love Wentworth. You talked about Wentworth during San Juan del Sur. You talked about Wentworth now. You talked about Wentworth in all the off seasons. So I think you're like a big Wentworth fan.
Huge.
Huge. Yeah, I know. Let's see here. Anthony Beam, is there anyone on this season you guys don't like and can't wait to see sent home? Do you have anybody? I don't really have anybody.
It was Jenny preseason, but I mean, she didn't really. I mean, the bug in the ear was kind of cool, and I think she was kind of a beast surviving that. You know what? No, that's an awesome feeling too. That I, like, get this player off my screen. It started happening with Abby Maria after about 4 episodes of Abby time in Cambodia. So I don't know. That can change quickly, though, very quickly. All it takes is 1 episode of someone being a nuisance. So yeah, so far so good.
Let's see here. Let's see. I'm trying. It's hard to read through this. Okay, so the Elements official. None of the other Brawns got an edit sufficient enough for their arc to end, which I disagree with. I thought Alicia did. And then he said, my thoughts on people who are in serious trouble in each tribe. Beauty, Ty, no social skills, very hard to relate to. It's going to be a tough first few votes for him. Brains, Debbie, we've seen it before, talks too much, especially about herself, takes a leadership role, comes off as condescending. Oliver bragging makes her seem like she feels superior and the others notice. And then Brawn, Alicia, we knew from the get-go she was a strange fit for the Brawn tribe. Barely made it through this round. If they go to tribal again, she's probably gone. I think that's all very, very spot on. And then he said, did anyone else get a Zayn vibe from Kyle when he started making the alliances with everyone?
A little bit, but we've seen that. I mean, it wouldn't be just Zayn. The thing about Zayn is that he made alliance with everybody and then told everyone that he was making alliances with everybody. Remember, he was on the beach with Malcolm saying, I got alliances with everybody. If you're going to do that, if you're going to be that bold, don't tell people about it. So that's where Zayn kind of went wrong. In Kyle, though, he does seem to have like a real, at least a voting block, if you will, with Scott and Jenny. So I think he does actually have something legit.
Yeah. Connor Berry, my thought that they did not look at her because it's a reality TV show. As bad as it sounds, it was good TV, and the producers know that. Yeah, we were scared of that.
But medical did come, I think. They did.
I think they did. I do think they did. I think you're right. The Gamer Girl 2330, she says, I do think Nick is a little good looking. He's the best looking person this season. Will, do you agree that Nick is the best looking person this season?
I mean, I don't agree, but it's an opinion, and I'm attracted to men, so it's. I
just wanted you to be like, no, Liz is. Like, I really want you to just keep doing this. Like, we're gonna keep cracking into this.
I really like Anna too. I don't know why you keep putting it all.
Because all you talked about was Liz, and you keep telling me you're gonna put all the thumbnails are gonna be Liz.
I mean, she's in the landscape photos. I mean, about choice map. There's one of Anna this week, but it's a portrait. You know, it's vertical. That's not going to work for a YouTube thumbnail. What are you going to do?
I hear you. Let's see here. God. Yeah, Wade Drew points out on Kyle's Twitter, he said Darnell was booted because he was very likable and they had to take the chance to take him out when they got it. I think that Kyle even was like a little surprised that they're sitting there at Tribal as the Bronze Tribe at the first Tribal. And like, I almost think that him and Scott are sitting there like, hey man, we might not lose again. Like, we need to get rid of like somebody like Darnell who could really make a run for the win. now because we might not lose another tribal count. We might not lose again. I think
that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a really good point. I also think there's a lot of kind of, I don't know, there's a lot of anxiety and there's this feeling you get. I want to make a big move on my first time going to tribal. You know what I mean? They've been waiting, especially for a guy like Kyle who said he wanted to play like Russell. He's not going to take out the easy boot. I think that has a lot to do with it too. Make the decision that no one would see coming. He wants to be good TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kelly Kuffner, I don't know, but for some reason I think that Kyle will turn out like Tony. And this was kind of my thing at the beginning of the season. I know you were kind of like, you do realize that he wants to just play like Russell Hantz and all this. But I think the difference here is I think Kyle's actually like a good person. And yeah, he might want to play like Russell Hantz, but if he doesn't get caught, then all he's really playing like is Tony. Because Tony played fantastic. And he was just better socially. You know what I mean? I think Kyle could seriously turn out like that.
Right. And I totally see what you're saying. But the thing that turned me off to Kyle preseason, you can play like Russell. Well, Russell did a lot of things. So there's a lot of different ways you can play like Russell. You can run around and look for idols, and that's something Tony did. But what he specifically said was, I'm going to start stealing people's things and, go with the whole sock burning, making people miserable so he can control them. And that's where you kind of say, man, that really wasn't – I mean, yeah, Russell did okay. I mean, his tribe lost so many immunities. Sure, he survived, but that's not like the best part of Russell's game. The best part of Russell's game was, getting people to flip, getting information, playing idols at the right time. That's what really made him great, not burning socks. And that's what Kyle specifically said. But right now I'm loving the guy.
Yeah, I think he's great right now. Benjamin LaFleur, did you realize Nick said what could go wrong? But I don't think he said what could go wrong. I don't think he said that. I think he just said what could go wrong. So
that's 1 point for you.
Why? I'm just reading comments, bro.
But it didn't say that in the comments. 1-0.
I'm saying, though, he didn't say that because he was mentioning what you said. No, that's ridiculous. I'm going to win every other fantasy game, so go ahead. You can have that. Zach Abrams, am I the only one that is getting Jeremy vibes from Neil because he is the narrator of the season? He got numbers right away. Sticking with Neil, are you also getting a winner's vibe from him? And there's a follow-up comment by LJ and Krabby. Nope, in fact, I'm getting those vibes from one person on each tribe. Brains, Neil, Brawn, Jason, Beauty, Anna. This is kind of what I was talking about when I was mentioning like the narrators with Neil. This is why I had Neil so high. Do you kind of feel like these are your narrators for this season?
Yeah, I think so far, I think that can easily change. You often see a narrator can go out pre-merge even, and then they kind of have to find someone else. But Neil did a great job. Yeah, I agree. He is the narrator on that franchise. Winner vibes? Not really. Just because you're the narrator, I don't think he's going to win.
I feel like he's almost a little too like low. I almost got like Tyler vibes from him. He's kind of like really mellow and like I think he started off solid, but I could see him totally going like not being the narrator once they actually hit a merge because he might become less interesting than everybody. I don't know. I liked him in the first episode though.
I think he's going to be a player and a player. But he might be the merge or something. I don't know.
Say that again, dude. You scared me.
I said he's going to be. I think he might be a big character, but I don't think he's going to win. He might be the merge boot.
Okay. For some reason, we keep going through like scary robot noises, and I don't know what.
Because it's Google. It's Google Hangouts. It happens all the time. Awful. It's part of the charm.
Yeah. Let's see here. Jawan, Dang, Darnell's voted out because he bonded strongly with Sydney from the beginning. Kyle didn't like it. Everyone else is okay with Kyle into tribal. Now Alicia's on the bottom. Sydney's on the outskirts. Looks like Jason and Kyle, I think he means Kyle and Scott, are going to make it deep in this game. Everyone this season is damn good. And I've had ants in my ears a few times. It feels like horses running around in your head. Hats off to Janny for weathering it out. I can never tough it out in my whole lifetime. And add to that the threat of losing one's eardrum. I mean, it was wild, man. Jenny was pretty tough for doing that.
That's the worst part about it. You can hear like the legs and they're marching. That sounds miserable.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Butch Coolidge, totally agree about the bug. They should have called medical. Allegedly they did. They just didn't show it for some mysterious reason. But even if medical arrived, it looks like they waited too long. And Gamer Girl said, Darnell said in his exit interview with Rob that they did call medical, and medical gave Jennifer some eardrops, which is what caused the bug to crawl out. Don't know why they didn't film that, though. I almost feel like they should have filmed that, like, medical showed up. You know what I mean? Like, you think, like, hey, look, we're taking care of her. I mean, it was almost like, man, they're heartless for this.
I don't know. There's two sides. Someone already commented. It's like it kind of gives that really scary, real vibe. Like, no, we're not going to help you. Like, there's a bug in the air. You got to deal with it, and that might make the show more real to viewers. Like, wow, they're really out there. No one's come to save them. That's one part. The other part is I think medical is going to make a lot of trips already, and a lot of those trips you're going to have to show 100% of the time. So this just show it coming out. You know, that's all you really need to show.
I hear you. Yellow Swagreed. My favorite part about the episode is when Ty said something like, I respect all living things and trees are living, something along those lines. And then 5 seconds later, he's ripping trees from the ground. Also, same thing happened when he said you could not cut the trees, yet 20 seconds later, he's ripping branches off from a tree he climbed. I think they put him on the show for either comic relief or he has a side that we haven't seen yet. I mean, I think it's comic relief, to be honest. And he's
an interesting fellow. He's from Vietnam, you know, has a good life story. He's friendly, got great energy. I totally see why they casted him. Definitely funny with the ripping up trees. Especially the funniest part about it is that no idol has ever been like just no one's had to rip out a tree to get an idol. So I don't know. It's like he was almost doing it for fun because he's not allowed to. It's finally he has an excuse to rip up trees. He hasn't been able to do it his whole life as a gardener, but if it's for an idol, then, you know, he can let it slide.
Yeah, I'd be onto something there. Energizer 61 Bunny, so far, how do you think these tribes compare to the tribes in Cagayan, and who do you think will do better this season, the males or the females?
That's a good question. I think this Brains tribe obviously is a lot better. You can't really compare to that Brain tribe, the original Brain tribe. Beauty seems to be more in the game. You know, they're more with it.
Yeah. Because it seemed like that original Beauty tribe, you had LJ who was really into it and like really there, and everybody else was just like, hey, look, I'm on TV. I mean, if you think about it, Jeremiah, he was a nice guy, but he really wasn't any fun. Jeffra really wasn't any fun. Alexis, she loves the game, but she really wasn't doing much. Morgan was pretty good, but I think this Beauty tribe, like you have 6 people who are like really going to play this game super hard. As for the Brawn tribe, I think it's almost similar.
The Brawn tribe is similar. I mean, you could say, oh, the Brawn tribe never lost to Cagayan. This Brawn tribe already lost. Could say that, but I think you have your Tony, you have your Cliff. That kind of works out. Darnell, do you woo? Yeah. Hey, the comparison works there. And I like what you're saying about the Beauty tribe. Everyone's playing because Ty Train's the last person you think is the big strategist player, and he got caught looking for the idol.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. Total Drama Survivor fan. I'm not going to read the comment, but yes, the answer is absolutely 100% yes. Let's see here. Breaking Lost Thrones prediction: the less busty Anna, aka Liz, will be voted out next. Has that make? I don't know. That might come true. Like I have her pretty low. Hang on.
What was the prediction?
Where we're at. That Liz is going to be the one who gets booted next.
Hey, she should. Joe was saying that she's, being really bossy. I don't like that from Liz. I hope it's not her, but especially because she's on my fantasy team. So
yeah,
that's where.
Angus J. The Brains are probably going to lose because they're the main highlighted tribe in the previews. Aubrey will be forced to make a decision on whether or not to vote out Debbie. My bet is she follows through, votes out Debbie. Questions: most likely to find the idol. Will there be a disaster tribe such as Matt Singer Luzon, or will it be like Worlds Apart? Who do you think will say the title for the next episode, Kindergarten Camp? I'll start off. Most likely to find an idol, I think completely Tai Trang. I think that the way that they're building up this episode, it's going to be Tai Trang where, somebody goes to new heights to find an idol. I mean, they had Caleb in the tree. They also had Ty in the tree. Just seems like Ty's looking way harder for this idol. So I think that that's who they're going to end up, who's going to end up finding it. I don't think there's going to be a disaster tribe. I think that this is going to be – I think Braun's not going to lose this time. I think Brains is. And then I think after Brains loses, I very well could see Beauty losing or Braun losing again. But I don't think you're going to get one of those tribes that just gets decimated right from the start. I think it's going to be more like Worlds Apart. Who do you think will say the title of the next episode? Well, Kindergarten Camp.
I'm going to roll with Neil just because that's a very narrator thing to say. He's kind of looking down at the rest of his tribe. We know that Aubrey really liked crayons out there. Someone that needs to be babysat maybe would be Audrey or the younger people like Peter and Liz if they're acting up. They are the oldest tribe, though, so they are, the farthest out from kindergarten. But that would have to be my guess. Beauty is obviously another great option when you have like people trying to kiss each other like little kids. I don't know if that happens in kindergarten, but it seems like kind of childish stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so to keep things kind of rolling, we're only going to read questions that are relevant to season 32. Because I know a lot of people are always like, hey, who do you think would do this? Who do you think would do that? But if it doesn't really relate to season 32 at all, we're not going to read them. Sorry, but just in terms of time and fun things. Doesn't mean we'll hate you guys, but, Matt Warpecha, who do you think goes further in the game, Anna or Liz? I think it's Anna, like easy.
I think it's Anna, too.
Okay.
Totally agree.
Zach Abrams, do you think Alicia could be the next Courtney Yates? No. There will never be another Courtney Yates.
Was Courtney in danger in her first episode? Is that why they're making some comparison?
No, they didn't. They didn't lose. They didn't lose for a while. I think he's almost saying because she's like an underdog and she's smaller or whatever. But I mean, Alicia's not lippy enough to be Courtney. She doesn't have people around her that she can align with like Courtney did. Like I just don't see it happening. I mean, Alicia's really not like weak. Like Courtney was weak. Like think about the machete challenge in China where she could not chop through the rope. Got done, her hands were moving like crazy. Saddest thing you'll ever see in your entire life. This isn't Alicia. Alicia's like a strong person. She's just on the wrong tribe.
She's been bungee jumping. She's been with tigers,
Okay. I mean, I know I said that we weren't going to read anything unless it was related to season 32, but Witch's Coven asks, were you popular at school or no? So, I mean, I feel like that's like something people really do want to know. Like, are we losers or no?
I think I was never like the super popular. I've always had like friends. I was the
quarterback of the football team,
I was never the quarterback, but I was never the nerd either because I didn't get good grades to be a nerd.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was popular, no doubt. Probably the most popular kid in school. Zach Abrams. Am I the only one who – oh, no, we already read that. The Gamer Girl. Did you guys watch this season's intro yet? Will not like where Liz shows up. Also, that's the first time they put the first boot at the end of an intro. So Darnell was at the back.
Interesting. I like looking at that. Does that mean Liz is first because the first person has ever won?
Rob won in Redemption Island after being first. I don't know what this whole like mystery around that is. Like he was actually first. Really? I believe so.
I don't know. I don't know why people. Just for the record, I'm not this. You're like building up this Liz thing. Now people are commenting. I mean, I thought she looked
before that.
I mean, I'm saying like I thought she looked good in the premiere, and that was it.
Oh, no. This is the same thing as what you did with Jeremy last season, where like you just talked about Jeremy's the man, MVP every week. How could it not be Jeremy? He's the ultimate. He's the best. He's the greatest. And then by like the last episode, you're like, I never really liked him that much. It's like, just go back and watch. Let's go back and let's just get all of the quotes from Will about Liz in that episode. You thought she said everything. You thought she said every line from that episode.
Not everything. I thought she had more. I thought she had a good amount of confessionals. I rewatched it, and she did. She had 3, which is a good amount for a tribe that doesn't go to tribal council. So, I mean, I don't really – I thought that was a fair point. She actually did. I mean, Joe had like 1. I think Aubrey had like her breakdown. She had 1. On that tribe, it was her and Neil pretty much carrying the weight. Peter, I think, only had 1, maybe 2. So I think that wasn't like some crazy point I was trying to make. And back to Jeremy, he was on my fantasy tribe. He's my winner pick. I was trying to rack in those fantasy points. I had to argue away, which he still didn't get that many MVPs. But it's not like he did anything that crazy or great. So when you look back at it, I mean, yeah, he played a great game. He won 10 votes to 0. Impressive winner. But throughout that season, what was that Jeremy's big moment, big move? And you can't really – I don't know. I thought he put himself in a really good position throughout. And it wasn't the flashiest game. I'll say that.
Yeah, but you still loved him. But, yeah, I mean, come on, Will. Who did you have a bigger crush on, Liz or Jen from season 30?
I don't know. It's still – we've only seen 1 episode.
I don't know, man. I'm just going by the facts. I have scripture that says otherwise. Henry Alford. Apparently, Neil also didn't follow Scott Pollard's #1 rule of diving, lost the mask. Here's a good point, though. bodes well for Neil's edit that wasn't shown. So maybe Aubrey, it wasn't so much that they didn't want to play up Aubrey as a huge hero because the mask fell off. Maybe it's because they didn't want to show up Neil as almost like a dunce for doing that.
Hey, that could be a good point. Or they didn't end up losing. They got first place, so they didn't want to say, oh, look, this tribe dropped theirs and they won. Then Darnell going home wouldn't make any sense. They were really grasping at straws to find a reason for Darnell to go. So that had to be the reason. If someone else did it and won, then that wouldn't really work as a reason. So, hey, I think we just solved it. Both those reasons make sense.
Yeah, it does. Peter Rubenstein, heard the season's theme is bullying. Who could you see being the biggest bully this season? Is it automatically Jason? Pretty sad that 2 of the 3 past seasons will be remembered by bullying. BS, although Worlds Apart was way too overblown with one episode where Shireen was just being a bitch and Survivor gave her a BS second chance when she should have been the first boot of that season. Do you think now is it going to be bullying like, oh man, everybody hates me, or is it going to be bullying like in the Russell Hantz way of bullying where it's like you better vote this way or like I'm going to beat you up and you're next? You know what I mean? Like, because I could see Kyle doing that. I don't think Kyle's going to be the guy. I mean, seriously, he has an autistic daughter. He says that in episode 1. I don't see him coming out and making fun of people for any type of hardship in their life. I mean, like I just can't see him doing that.
I could see maybe like the older people on Brains getting bullied, like Joe and Debbie for being kind of older and maybe out of touch with the other people on the tribe. I could see Peter doing it, maybe even Liz. I'm trying to think who else. The beauty tribe seems happy.
They seem likable.
Maybe Nick, because they were talking about the chickens and how, it's going to die soon, and just really no reason to say that, but maybe
I did notice that. That's a good point. I don't know what sense of the bullying is going to come this season. Like, I don't think it's going to be like the Shireen might. And to be honest here, let's say Debbie does get bullied. Is it because they just hate her, like the way Shireen tried to make it seem, or is it because she's just flat out annoying? Like, and I don't know Debbie at all, but like, how is the bullying going to come out? Like, obviously, the way it was Will, the way he acted the one time with Shireen was absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, everybody else, the way they played up Dan and stuff was just unnecessary. So like, is that the type of bullying we're talking about? I think it's gameplay bullying more so than actual like personal attacks on people.
I don't know. If it's gameplay bullying, Jeff Probst loves that. He loves people playing the hardest possible. And if you're saying
it like a bad thing all the time?
It sounds like it's, what did he say about it? He says it will be a good thing for parents to talk about to their children and address bullying and how it's not right and stuff like that. It sounds like it's emotional bullying and not like gameplay bullying.
All I know is this better not turn into like another ridiculous statement like Worlds Apart was, because that was just so obnoxious. Like, it just got to me. It was so annoying. Like, that better not – this season has started off so solid. It better not turn into that, because that's not what Survivor is. And seriously, go back and watch Vanuatu. I don't think anybody's ever been bullied harder than Eliza Orlins. And she made it all the way to, 4th place, 5th place? Like, and she comes back for another season. And I think Eliza says things to people on Twitter now, but no big deal was ever made about how much she was bullied while that season was airing. None.
She was bullied in Micronesia, too. Parvati was saying some, like, really mean things.
Mm-hmm. And nothing, but Parvati is an ambassador of the game. She's not a bad person.
Parvati bullied Jason too, like a lot.
Yeah,
Jason and Eliza.
It's literally just the world we're living in right now, where everything's just getting blown out of proportion.
Yeah, everything's about outrage and getting mad. And
like, fire Kyle from his bounty hunting job because he said somebody was mean. No. All right. Anyway, moving on from bullying because it's just making me angry. Caleb Sutton. Going into the season, I had really low expectations given how great Second Chances was, but now I feel like Survivor may be in the middle of back-to-back top-notch season. That premiere was quite good. I mean, it could be like a Micronesia into Gabon type thing. I mean, you keep comparing this to Gabon just after one episode, and I kind of get similar vibes from it.
Yeah, I just love that Gabon cast. I've said it 100 times on this podcast. The cast was so much fun, and so far this cast seems really fun. So that's kind of where I'm drawing the comparison. We have to wait and see. It's been one episode. It's just so, I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Here's a fun question, though, because this is just all about predicting stuff after seeing just one episode. Peter Rubenstein, who do you think is a possible legendary season play, or who do you think is a possible legendary player from this season?
I think Kyle is he's definitely at the forefront to be a legend.
I think it's Kyle, and I honestly do. Your winner pick. I think Anna has a fantastic chance to be like a legendary female player. I mean, we talked about it in our Legends podcast. It was kind of hard to get, we only had like 12 or 13 women that we really considered. We had like 50 guys. I think Anna could turn out, if she keeps this up, she could turn out to be like a serious contender.
I love Anna. She's great. She's really attractive also.
Yes. D6 comedy, I'm coming late to the show, but trust I'll be on time next time, and I'm not going to get in y'all two knuckleheads. Okay. I have no idea. Thank you, D6. I don't know. It's all right. I'm glad you came in. Just keep listening. It's a good podcast. Or video cast. People keep making fun of me now for calling it a podcast. Crapples Toby, who do you think will be the villain of this season? Who do you think will be the most heroic? Do you get any hero vibes from anybody?
I can see Ty Train being a hero, turning it around. I can see Sydney, if she sticks around. Joe could be a hero if he sticks around. I mean, after one episode, it's all about how far they go. You could rattle off each name, I'll tell you if they're going to be a hero or villain. But if they get voted off second, they're not going to have the opportunity to do so. Peter could be a villain. Liz can be a villain. I could see Julia being a hero. It's kind of the people you would think are like the underdogs going to be the heroes, and the people that have the power and the brains are going to kind of be the villains. It's kind of how it goes.
Kyle's the villain. And if Nick makes it far enough, he'll be the villain. All right, let's go over to Twitter. Ravinja Sharma, one of the best premieres of Survivor. Really love the cast. Kyle Jason is my winner pick. Aubrey for MVP. In the Young Kid Alliance, had a panic attack, bonded with the Outcasts, and killed the challenge. And his last one is, I love the audacity of Ty when he straight up agreed on looking for the idol. He can turn the game around anytime. I think that's true. As much as they want to say he's sneaky, he's lying, all this stuff, he straight up said, yeah, I am looking for the idol. And give me 5 more minutes. I'm going to go look for it more. Yeah, he got caught. But now if he finds it, he can just be like, look, I have it. And if he says it to 1 or 2 people, they almost have to trust him because it's like, wow, he didn't have to tell us this. We didn't catch him actually finding it.
Yeah, that's true. The only problem with that is if you find the idol, then show it. Let's say you show it to Anna and look, like, I trust you. Let's have 4 with the women. And they kind of actually go back to that original plan. Then you're like, wait a second, Ty Train, he's got this idol. It'd be so easy to blindside him. And then maybe he plays it and then it's gone. I don't know. If he finds it and it's public, people are going to be like, man, we really got to flush the idol. He's going to use the line, let's use this for the beauty tribe as a whole. Let's use it together. But everyone knows a swap's coming. Everyone knows you're not going to be together to the merge. So I don't know. It might not be the best thing to have that. Or at least people know you have that.
I think it just totally depends. Like if he were to go up to the 3 girls because he sees that the 3 girls are tight and he's like, hey, I want to work with you guys. I have an idol. And then they do a swap or something and it turns out almost like the Cagayan swap. And now he's sitting there with those girls on his team. Like they're going to be happy that they didn't get rid of this idol. You know what I mean? Like, or even if it's just like 1 or 2 of them. Because normally when the swap happens, you're going to get somebody from your alliance. It's very rare that you get like a position where there's nobody. Although it did happen with Sarah in Cagayan, but it's very rare.
Right.
Okay. Ash, finally watching the podcast. I agree that Nick isn't that attractive. I wasn't buying it. He's no Joe Anglim. Man, I'm surprised she's the first one who's made the comparison to Joe Anglim. That's Ash. First one to make the comparison to Joe Anglim. Come on. Like, I'm surprised nobody has said that about Nick, that he's just no Joe Anglim until now. And then the next 2 comments are both about the bug in the ear, how it could have ruptured the eardrum and caused hearing loss. So pretty damn serious, man.
Oh yeah, very serious.
Oh, yeah. And then Mel posted a video. I don't know if you saw it. It was an interview with Jeff Probst, Stephen Fishbach, Parvati Shallow. Did you happen to see any of that?
I started watching it and then we were going to podcast. So I was like, okay.
I kind of jumped around a little bit through it, but there were 2 things that stuck out to me. Number 1, Jeff said that episode 4 of this season is absolutely insane. I think that's going to be an insane medevac. It seems like they're throwing that one with the chopper where it happens at the challenge. I think that's going to be episode 4. He said that, not me. So I have no problem saying this. I don't think that's a spoiler. He also said his favorite season of this show, and if anybody wants to have a reason to kick Jeff Probst off of Survivor, this is the sole reason. His favorite season of Survivor in the entire history. What is it, Will? Do you know?
Yeah, it's Cambodia. Second chance.
Nope. It's Survivor Kaoh Rong.
No, it's not. He said Cambodia. I
Go
literally just
watch
watched
the
it.
thing. He's talking about how much he loves that Cochrane one, and he actually says the line of, "That's why that's my favorite season." And I know that he loves the Cochrane win, but he actually says that's why that's my favorite season.
I literally just watched it, and he said Cambodia.
Well, later on, he says at the very end of the episode, maybe he slipped, but he actually says that's why that's my favorite season when talking about Kaoh
He
Rong.
didn't say maybe that's why it's one of my favorite seasons.
No, he said that's why it's my favorite season.
I mean, he was very in the
Steven
beginning.
Fishbach almost jumped off the stage, like
But he was very deliberate about saying someone asked. It was like a 9-year-old kid who said, "Jeff, what's your favorite season?" And he kind of like a minute answer that it was Cambodia, that everyone came to play.
See, I didn't watch that actual episode, or that actual part of it. But I'm just saying, later on, I think it was a slip. But I'm not going to let him off that easy.
Maybe
I'm not letting him off.
I'll have to hear it. I'll have to hear it.
I'm counting it as he totally just meant that Cochrane's his favorite winner, but I'm totally counting it. Okay, Jimmy. Okay, no, we don't have to read that one. Giovanni Oriana, what do you think of Jeff saying we're going to have an evacuation? I think that's totally what he talked about with episode 4. I think that's just going to be there's going to be like a wild evacuation.
Yeah, I mean we're going to get more than one also, so it's not just in episode 4 unless like 3 people get like something falls from the sky and just crushes 3 people.
Like a plane just like right on him. So okay, man, here we go. Steel Punch is now on Twitter, so you can read my comments from the East Coast. Anyway, I think the Beauty Tribe is sadly similar to One World. Anna is Kim, Julia will be Chelsea, and Michelle is Sabrina.
Well, he must have listened to our podcast because that's exactly what you said.
Yeah, and the only thing is here, yeah, Kim is fantastic. Kim was great. The other two were like, I think that all 3 of them are kind of like they could like actually play off each other. I don't think the other ones played off each other. I don't even know if like Sabrina got or Chelsea got like any screen time at the beginning of that season. I really don't. I know Sabrina did a lot at the beginning, but
yeah, Michelle really. I was really impressed by her in the premiere, and I mean that's why I have her number 1. But she actually had some real substance that she could read personalities, and we just got more from her than the standard like hot bartender chick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, which was cool. Like why bartending actually helped her. Like that's something you really don't see from any bartenders who are on the show. Like she explained why bartending was going to help her win this game. We never see that. All right, Larry Miller. None of the 32. None of these are related to 32. We'll answer these one day, but just not in this. Not in this. Keep listening, keep watching, but they're just not relevant right now. And we're already going pretty long. Giovanni Oriano, what would you two be? A Brain, a Brawn, or a Beauty?
I have to be Brain because I can't be a Brawn, or a Beauty. So I just
I'm a Beauty.
By default. I had to be a Brain. I do work in social media, so there's been a precedent set for a social media person to be on the Brain Tribe.
Yeah, I mean, I was a real estate agent, so I guess I could be Brawn. I've also dabbled in being a gardener, so I guess I could be Beauty, but I would probably end up being Brain as well. I mean, I like to think of myself on the Beauty side.
I think Beauty. I would put you in Beauty. I'd say Beauty.
Yeah, really? You think so?
Yeah.
This really is warming my heart. Is it because of the red hair? Like they just need to put a redhead on there, otherwise, like eventually redheads are going to get offended.
No. I think you're just you have the inner beauty.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. You actually hang out with me enough to know that that's just simply not true. But anyway, that's cool. Jimmy O'Connor, I think Caleb, Julia, Anna, and Nick split up to find Ty. Only reason he was with Anna, I think, he's not in a good position. Okay, so that's interesting because it was Anna and Nick who walked up on Ty. What he's saying is that's not because they were bonding. It's just because they split up and went opposite ways.
Okay, but then who were the other people that went together?
He just said it was Caleb and Julia went together.
Okay, where was Michelle?
I don't know. She could have been with any of them, but I think that he's just saying like it wasn't just because they were like buddies.
Well, I don't know. If it really was like that, why wouldn't it be Caleb, Nick going, and then Julie and Anna? And I guess you could make the argument, well, Caleb and Julie went together. But I don't know. It seemed like they had a little powwow about it. They looked at each other. They kind of, I don't know. You catch someone doing something, and might be a bonding moment. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening with Nick. He's definitely the one I'm a little sketched about. Hey, I'm Toby. Do you think an idol will be found out next episode, or at least a clue? I kind of do.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of agree. And then Jimmy O'Connor, Liz had 4 confessionals, dual narrator with Neil. So
4. It was 4. So for me to say that she had a lot, and then you go, what? She knows me. Come on.
I hear you, man. I just see you're underplaying your love for Liz, and it's making me mad. So now I'm going to rip her apart until you start getting defensive of her, which is starting to happen. And this is what I wanted all along.
I've said that Liz, if she was my favorite, why do I have her at number 9?
Because I think she has a very good chance of going home this week, and you even do a little bit too, but you still put her as like the number 1. You have her as the number 1 brain. The number 1 brain, you have Liz. So that answers the question. If she's your favorite, why is she your number 1 brain? You really think she's in like that good of a position, which is fine.
I think she had a pretty nice first episode. She was giving lots of insight, like the commenter just said, dual narrator. She's in the majority. I mean, sure, Aubrey goes up and hugs Debbie when she's literally done. Like, she is losing it. She's going to go up to anyone at that point. It was 4-2. I don't see any reason why it's not 4-2. And even if Aubrey does flip, Liz seems to be, smart. Was she doing the puzzle? I think she was doing the puzzle with Aubrey.
I don't remember. It was her and Aubrey?
Yeah. So there you go.
I just wanted to get you riled up. That's all I wanted.
You do a puzzle with somebody, and you bond over that too. So maybe she is the one that pulls Aubrey back over. I don't know. I was just trying to add some fun, to the show. She looked good in a bikini. It's Survivor. It's why they're never going to do a season in the winter. It's like what sells the show.
It's true. And it's amazing that somebody that looks as good as Liz is not on the Beauty Tribe. And I'm just going to keep saying that. Same thing with Alicia. Alicia's very good looking. But let's move on to something very important here, Will, because that's the end of comments. We do have something very important to cover here. So we were told not too long ago, and by not too long ago, I mean, what? Go, do it. Go. You run. Go, all you.
Saying we were told, we know this has been, an idea for a while that we need to include the word Survivor into our channel name. I mean, I don't know if it's not like we were being instructed by anybody.
No. It was just one of those things where it's like we've been thinking about it a lot, and then somebody was like, "Yo, like this is going to be really like this is like urgent," and we always thought it was urgent, but we never thought it was that urgent because we've been filling Will for a while. But now we're really taking the initiative to find this Survivor and the word we're going to put with it.
So you might have noticed. I mean, we have probably a lot of new people listening. Hopefully, we do. That we've now added Phil and Will Survivor recaps. That's kind of lame, but we do want Survivor in the title of our channel just so people know that, hey, it's not just 2 guys. I mean, it is 2 guys, but we want to, have the word Survivor in there because it helps with, search engine stuff. It helps with getting people to just see it, and you immediately know what we're talking about. But we don't really have a good word to put after it, so we're kind of lost here. We have Survivor recaps. I was thinking maybe like Survivor obsessed, but you've been using that word in a kind of a creepy way, so I don't know if we want to go with obsessed anymore.
Are we going to do Survivor Liz? Like, could we put Liz after Survivor? Could that be the thing now?
Man, this is going to stop.
Well, you know what would be a great one? Survivor Studs. Because we're just studs talking about Survivor. I mean, I'd be on the Beauty Tribe.
But I wouldn't be, though. We only have 1 Beauty Tribe member.
But you're a stud for other reasons. Girls like big brains. Come on.
We could do Survivor Lovers because we love Survivor. Or are we? But we don't want to come across that we're lovers who like Survivor.
That would have to be like Phil and Will lovers of Survivor, not like Survivor lovers. That almost sounds like we're Rob and Amber.
Survivor gurus? No, that's lame. We're not gurus. We've never played.
I look at some of the other ones that are like out there, like Survivor Talk, and then there's like Island Talk. Like there's like a lot of talk ones. So like we're not going to be doing like talk. We can't do Inside Survivor because that's already some website off in the netherworld. So like I don't know. It's tough. Somebody's got to help us out. I think Survivor Studs is hysterical. It shows our self-deprecation, but also how cool we really are. And like, who wouldn't listen to a podcast called Survivor Studs?
Yeah, that might be good. But I also want to hear if the commenters have better ideas, because if you give people the opportunity to come up with something, get a lot of brains thinking, we can probably get a good word. Or if that's people like that, then we can roll with that one. Yeah. Survivor Obsessed, still maybe. If you just got to keep. Yeah. I
I
feel
just gotta
like
stop saying you're obsessed.
I feel like I'm in middle school and people are like, oh, you have a crush on that girl, and they just keep making fun of you, and you're like, ah, and you're like, dude, I don't really, but you can keep talking about it, you know?
Yeah. And it's always the girl that you never actually talk to. That's the one you have the crush on, and that's pretty much what's happening with you and Liz.
I haven't what? I haven't talked to any of these people. All right.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. But yeah, so we really are trying to figure out something to put with Survivor. Like, there's just nothing. There's no obvious word to put after it. You know, like that's the biggest problem. We have some creative followers. I mean, we get our logos made by them. Maybe we can get our name made by them. Also, shout out to Steel Punch for calling out every single person who made a mistake in their boot list thing. As I'm going through the boot list, Steel Punch was going through. I think people probably thought it was you or me. And he's just like, hey, you have this person twice. Do you want to change this? Who do you want to change? Thank you for doing that, because clearly neither of us did, which pretty much shows just how lazy we are. I'll chalk it up to laziness, although it could just be busyness. But Steel Punch, thank you for that. That's pretty cool. There was a lot of mistakes. Come on. Like,
did people fix them after?
Yeah, people fixed them. They were thanking Steel Punch. I mean, Steel Punch is the mayor of Phil and Will now.
Phil and Will, Survivor blank.
Survivor blank. Somebody come up with something. There was just one more comment. Hey, I'm Toby. If Ty finds the idol, do you think he will tell the girls because of the super aspect? And that's interesting. That's a whole new aspect here.
I don't think you're doing that yet, just because I don't think there's two idols on any one of these beaches. I think maybe if you get to a swap, that's what you want to start getting, you know. But
what I'm saying is, like, if it does straight up say, like, hey, there's a superpower in this, and he's on the outs, he could easily walk up to the girls and be like, look, this idol's going to be used for all of us.
Oh, that's okay. That is a good point. But they also might sit there and say, well, yeah, but where are we going to get this other idol? We're stuck on this beach. We got to bank on literally swapping and then having Ty still be there and trusting him. I don't know. It could definitely happen. I'm actually excited about the super idol. I hope it somehow comes to fruition. It probably doesn't. We talked about this preseason. It's just like the odds that two people can agree to use it to save one person. I mean, you got to have a really strong alliance. So that'll be fun to see. Phil, do we have anything else? This has been a long one. You know, it is a 90-minute recap. We do have lots of comments. So thank you to everybody who's commenting. Thank you for listening. If you're making it all the way to the end, we really, really appreciate it. Continue to comment. Throw us a like on the video. Subscribe. Tell your friends. If you have friends that watch Survivor,
even if you don't, if you just have friends, that's cool. And then, yeah, on top of that, give us a name after Survivor. Give us a word. Give us a word, Will.
All right. We'll see you Wednesday. Looking forward to it.